folks. Welcome back to this week's Veteran Stories podcast. We are super excited to have Parco Richardson on the show today. He's a former Marine. Now that he's out, he's a film producer. He's currently working on his next film. We're super excited to jump into the episode, so stick around and we'll see what's going on next. Parco, thanks so much for coming on today. I want to ask you, just getting off, what led you into the Marine Corps?
Well, thanks for having me. It's an honor being on the podcast, talking to another fellow veteran. One of the big things that led to my decision going into the armed forces was that I was shit at high school. I mean, I was a slacker in high school. I knew I've always wanted to be a filmmaker. I knew I always had an interest in entertainment. I was making films with my buddies that I had met while working at a water park, growing up in North Carolina, and we had actually looked at a few film schools together. In our senior year, but I was just like, I didn't have the grades. My mom was a single parent, didn't have the money to put me through it. And I had a buddy, one of my good friends, he was joining the Marine Corps. He had and the funny thing is, he had just disappeared without telling anybody. I just didn't see him for like a week, and I was like, and then he comes back, and I was like, dude, Kenneth, where are you at, man? And he's like, I joined the Marine Corps. And I was like, you do realize, and I was like, you do realize there's a war going on. And he's like, yeah, but I get, X, Y, and Z, I get this, and that. And I was like, oh, all right, whatever. And then I had another buddy of mine who was like ROTC type guy, we and him would play games and stuff. And he was like, I'm going to join the Marine Corps too. And then, I don't know, like literally I turned 18, and this was like a couple months before I graduated high school. I tell the story all the time where I basically just woke up one morning, and my mom was in Memphis. Yeah, went back to Memphis to visit family, and I just woke up one morning and I was like, I'm joining the Marine Corps. I got to join. I like literally woke up and I was like, called the recruiter, went down to MEPS, did everything, and then I did get cold feet. And then I tried to fail the test on purpose. They got a place for you. It don't matter if you're failing on purpose. They're like, we got a place for you. So, and this is back in 2006, and this is like the height, the height of the war and stuff like that. So they were taking anybody.
Yeah.
Like I literally saw my recruiter talk a guy out of going to prison to the judge because he was like, he's gonna do stuff for his community. He's fighting for this nation, and they were like, all right, and they signed this paperwork and sent them to boot camp, and I was
That's
like,
a bunch of
yeah,
stories.
yeah. So there was they found a place for me, but yeah, that was kind of my the reasoning why I joined the Marine Corps was mainly because of education, the GI Bill, to get that free schooling. I mean, now that I think about it, I always tell myself, I'm like, why did I join the Marine Corps? Because that's the hardest branch. I was like, why? Oh, I could have went to the Air Force if I wanted,
right. Right.
But I just had I have two buddies, that were already going in the Marine Corps. The buddy program, do boot camp, and then also I was just like, if I'm gonna do it, I might as well do it, like go for it, yeah. So yeah, that's kind of it, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. What MOS did you end up with?
So first they try. They try to pull a fast one on me. They were like, you get motor chief, and I was like, all right, cool, motor chief. But then it was the second most dangerous MOS to being a grunt, and it was because IEDs were everywhere.
Yeah.
So, and I remember getting a call from my recruiter like a couple of weeks before I had to like ship out and before I even graduated high school. And he was like, hey, I can't make it happen. You got to be a grunt. You got to go 03. I was just like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm gonna join then or whatever. And then he was like, let me call you back. Might be a bit pull some strings. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then he called me back. All right, I got you motor T. And I was like, all right, cool. So yeah, I went to motor T. But I mean, like, nobody really tells you. I mean, like, we might as well have been in the grunt unit because I mean, like, when we got to Afghanistan, I was pretty much doing grunt stuff. I was just like, there was no, we're mine sweeping, we're doing this, we're just doing everything outside of driving trucks.
Dude.
You know, we still did it, but we had to be like a self-contained within our. We didn't have a. We were, I guess, supporting the grunts. So we didn't actually have like a grunt unit when we were be out doing our mission. So we had to, be our own security, be our own.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah.
we didn't have like grunts attached with us to help supply them. So I mean, that's why they always tell you every Marine's a rifleman. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
What accomplishment are you the most proud of from when you were in?
From when I was in the service,
Yeah.
shit, man, graduating boot camp.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I was at Paris Island, in the heat of the summer. I went 2 weeks after graduation because I knew if I went to if I had a summer vacation after high school, I would
Yeah.
have never went. I would have
Yeah.
just I was like, I gotta go. I gotta go straight right out of high school. I can't take the summer off because I would have never went. So I went in the dead of summer. Man, Paris Island is not the place to be in the summertime. Oh my God, it was brutal that the whole summer.
Oh yeah.
But I got through it with my friends, Chance and Kenneth. They were great, and I mean they're still in. I mean, well, Kenneth's out, but Chance he's still that's lifer right there.
There
You
you
know,
go.
life in it.
There you go.
But yeah, I think graduating boot camp is a big accomplishment. Obviously, coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan with body parts intact is another one. And then yeah, just getting honorable discharge because I mean, like you are tested to the limits. I mean, like there are people. Yeah, I mean, like you got to think about it. Like I joined thinking like you're gonna be surrounded by the best people in the world. Just the naiveness of joining, being like, all right, people who join the Marine Corps or join any branch are gonna be people who are like honorable and this and that. And then when you get there and they're like, you gotta lock up all your stuff, you gotta make sure. And I'm like, are there thieves in the service? What are you talking about? Like it is
Yep.
like, oh well, yeah, you don't really understand like all the different walks of life that come in there,
Oh yeah.
and you are challenged because there are people who are, NCOs higher than you who are just like you're just like, who are you talking to? Like, you know what I mean? But I mean, hey, you're in the Marine Corps. You're in the service. You got to take it, and then
Yep.
go lick your wounds at in a quiet place afterwards.
That's awesome. Oh man. So kind of talking about NCOs and everything.
Yeah.
We've all had bad leaders in the
Mhm.
service.
Mhm.
Can you think of any Marines who stood out to you in a positive way?
Hell yeah, man! My LT, Lieutenant Cower, back in the when we went to Afghanistan, I kid you not, he's probably the prime example of he lead from the front. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not from the rear.
Yeah.
He was in the lead vehicle in Afghanistan the entire time. No matter I mean, this guy got blown up probably 5 or 6 times. I mean, like he just kept getting hit and was all right. Well, that truck's gone. Well, we'll move back. We'll get do our
Yep.
our little stuff that uh, basically hook up the MRAP, with the mine sweeper and,
Yep.
tow it. And then they would go throughout the vehicles and then we would move our, staff sergeant. His vehicle would move from the rear and go up to the front. But I mean, like that didn't stop him, man. Like
Yeah.
it's funny because I heard like the same guy. So some of those, that was Afghanistan was my second deployment. And, the guys and there's some of the guys that I deployed with that was their first, and they went on to do another deployment that I was going to be on, but I had a guy taught me out, a guy Ramirez. He taught me, he's like, Parco, just get out, go to school. 'Cause I was like, hey, I should just come with you, get out, go to school and stuff like that. And I was like, all right, and then and they were just telling me how that LT uh, led them, and from like he stayed in the middle vehicle, I think it was, and not
Yeah.
and like there were the corporals in the lead vehicle, like what I mean, like taking
Yep.
it for so I was just like, man, like when I heard the two different like just
Yeah.
styles, I was just like, man, like and I kind of taking that to heart, because it's just like if you're not, why ask somebody else to be something if you're not even willing to do it, you know what I mean? So I think that's a really big he left a lasting impression on me and how I now try to run film sets.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What do you think it was that made him do that lead from the front? Do you think he just had good parents, or
Man, I don't know, man. I think he's just a
or poor
good guy.
life choices?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He was just a good guy. I mean, like, it just never wasn't. He just, I don't know. Some people just, built different, raised right. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There was never anything like he was there really to take care of us. You know what I mean? There wasn't
that's
any
awesome.
like I think all the NCOs that I had on in Afghanistan were really there. I mean, there was a few that I fucking hate
Yeah.
to this day still.
Yep.
I won't say any names, but there's one in particular that I just, man,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I just butted heads with him all the time.
Sure.
And then when we both became the same rank, then it was
Uh-huh.
just like his whole demeanor kind of changed towards me after that. Um, but anyway, but all the like, sergeants, I would say just the sergeants and above were all like top notch.
Yeah.
They were just, they were just always looking to improve you as a Marine, you know what I mean? Just looking like, all right, hey, you need to be trying to do this if you're trying to be in the Marine Corps for life, you know what I mean? Always looking to
Right.
help you try to get to the next level. Oh, you're a corporal, you should be thinking about what are you going to be thinking about trying to get to a sergeant, you know what I mean? And then obviously this, staff sergeant talking to the sergeants, trying to get them to be staff sergeants and things like that. A lot of the sergeants got promoted to staff sergeant while we were over there,
Yeah.
which was also good to see those guys, you know, go out and do. But yeah, in Afghanistan, the leadership, top brass was really, really top notch. I think that deployment could have been a lot worse if it was some other people. So
Sure.
yeah, it was good.
That sounds like you got lucky.
I did get lucky.
Got
That's
lucky.
it.
Had a
Dude,
good
I
run of
trust
the
me. I
job.
know because I mean the second deployment with the other LT who they did not get so lucky. So I mean, yeah.
So you told me that you were always knew you wanted to get into film,
Hmm.
and you were always known about that. That's why you joined,
Yep.
right? So, what school did you pick when you
Mm.
got out?
So I got out on early release from the Marine Corps because we were in that sweet spot. I was that they were trying to kick people out, or just I'm going to say kick them out. They were trying to get less. They were trying to loosen their active duty members. So I got out a little bit early, a couple months before my official active duty status was over to go to film school. I was registered at Scottsdale Community College for a while when I got out, but then I ended up looking into more, and then I ended up enrolling in Art Institute of Phoenix before it shut down. I went over there, got my bachelor's degree, um, and yeah, that was kind of the school I went to. When I think about it, because now that the school is closed and it's being sued and all this other stuff, I'm like, man. And they did some, and I heard they did some really shady practices to veterans because of
Yeah.
like taking advantage of their
GI Bill.
yeah GI Bill. Um, and then when I think about it in hindsight, I'm like, that's interesting. I like had a GI. I was going to graduate before my GI Bill was over, and they were like looking at ways to try to like fail me on in certain classes on purpose so they could like extend it. And then I remember like one of the classes that I had, and I remember talking to my career director at the time and saying, hey, like, what do I need for this internship? And they were like, oh, you don't need anything but this, show up and get the paperwork. And when I tried to turn it in, this was supposed to be my final class. I'm graduating. When I went and be like, and then she was like, "Oh, you need all this? No, we're trying to get you." And then like, I literally had to call the internship place. They chewed her out, like basically like, you told me 6 months ago I didn't have to like. I mean, it was a
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
thing. Like it was like, and then they like their whole tune changed as soon as they like that company. I'm glad that company had my back with that one.
Yeah.
And then I was able to graduate on time and everything like that. But they were like literally trying to milk every last dime of that whole GI Bill. I was just like, at first I thought it was just like, oh, they don't like me. They don't like me here at this school. But I mean, like thinking about it, I'm like, oh, they probably had some directives from the top brass to try to keep people who had like, oh, how much time does he have left? Oh, let's keep him here one more quarter to get that full, GI Bill.
Yep.
So they're being sued. They're being like, for all that.
Good.
Yeah. So
Good. Get 'em.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I used to work at ASU
Mhm,
processing veterans benefits,
mhm,
and after I left from ASU, I went on to another school that will remain unnamed, and I worked there for 8 days. And I worked there for 8 days because on day 4 and 5, they started teaching me how to be a salesman, how to get 88 mics, which is truck drivers,
Yeah.
in the Army, how to get IT degrees,
Yeah.
IT certifications. And they intentionally wanted me to target people who had the lowest ASVAB scores to try to get them to come into their program so that they could leech away at their GI Bill.
Yeah.
And once I got the number, once I understood what these clowns were trying to do,
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm out, man.
Yeah.
I can't be a part of this.
Yeah.
You guys are ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, because they weren't doing anything illegal.
Yeah.
But I would call it unethical.
It is, yeah. A lot of those schools, yeah. A lot of those schools unethical. Like, they sold us on this big pipe dream. I remember there's a professor who's great. He won a couple of Emmys, but they really like upsold him. You know what I mean? They really like, look, our teachers are Emmy winners and this and that. This could be you. You know what I mean? And then when you're asking for help, like, hey, I'm trying to get my foot in the industry. It's like, they have no idea how to break in. They have no resources for you, and that's kind of like in hindsight, I'm like, man, then I look at all these other filmmakers who are coming out of all these other different schools in California and this and that, and they're like, I'm like, what are they teaching over there that they're not teaching that they weren't teaching that? And I'm like, it's the teachers, the people who have the networking, the connections that they had, and it was like, and it was basically like, I wasted 3 years at a school and all that money, and it's like, man, I risked my life for a school that, like, 'cause my GI Bill's gone now. Like, it's like now I'm like, what do I do with it? Like, you know what I mean? I got this degree, and now I'm like, it was almost like starting over again. Like, do 3 years, and then I now had to start over again to just break into the industry because there was like literally zero help from the school, and it was just like, oh my god. Luckily, they were starting to repay and forgive all that stuff, and I'm like, all right, cool. Like, but I mean, I would love my GI Bill back. Because I mean, really, I would love my GI Bill, and I can go to an actual proper school somewhere, or get a master's or something at a decent, So, but anyway, that's another story. So if anybody out there can help me,
if anybody has a lawsuit against Art Institute of Phoenix, check it out.
Yeah.
Well, while you were studying film at the sketchy institution, what was your favorite thing to study?
I really enjoyed the screenwriting class. That was really nice. I'm an on-set person. You know what I mean? I think that's because of the military. It's funny because when you go to school, you're surrounded by everybody who wants to be writers and directors. You know what I mean? And nobody really wants to do any of the other work that's required to actually do movies and stuff like that. Everybody just wants to be like, all right, show up, I'm the writer, I'm the director, and I have the best idea, now I just need help to execute it. And so I started kind of gravitating towards producing. At first I was going straight for a camera. That was what I was doing before, like right out of high school, not high school, sorry, right out of college. I was wanted to be a DP. I wanted to do that because I really love cinematography. But then I got on set and did a couple AC jobs, and I was like, this is a very technical job. I was like, I don't want to do this. It was just like the lights. They would be like, oh, well, can you put this ultra bounce this in 6x7? And I was like, listening to all this. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to. I was like, I like the idea of cinematography. I don't like the technical side of it.
Yeah.
So then that's when I started switching gears, and then really I went back to PAing again after I tried to do a brief thing with AC, and then kind of just like trying to see what I liked, and then people were like, hey, you're a good people person. And then I started doing data management, and then VTR, which is like video playback. And then finally, a couple of jobs came across my desk for my production company, which allowed me to kind of switch into full-time producing over the last couple of years. And yeah, I just like producing because you know you oversee, you get a piece of all the action
Yeah.
essentially.
Yep.
Like, and I think that's what I really enjoy is that I can talk to every department as a producer and kind of give my 2 cents about, like, you know, hey, I like this with art, I love this with cinematography, you know what I mean, and just kind of
Yeah.
build the project that way.
Sure.
Um, so yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Well, what is, you know, you were in the military
Hmm.
and you're in film,
Hmm.
so there's got to be a crossover. What's your favorite war or military film?
Oh yeah, man. Well, I can tell you, like right before I left, I did the deep dive of watching every movie that was based on Marine Corps,
Okay.
and I remember watching all these movies. Like I watched Jarhead before I left. I watched Full Metal Jacket before I left. Um, you know, it was just like the big Marine movies at the time, and so now, oh, and then I remember as I was in boot camp, John Cena had came to Paris Island because he was doing that Marine movie back in like the early 2000s, The
Okay.
Marine, and he had just did like I think he had did like a we heard that he was there doing like a celebrity boot camp. You know how they send
Oh
them to
yeah,
boot camp
yeah,
for a
yeah,
little
yeah.
bit. So I think he had went to Paris Island while I was there to kind of get a little bit of like his training
Okay.
at the boot camp. But you know, they don't stay to 3 months. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right,
I don't
right.
got John Cena sleeping next to me in the bunk bed for 3 months with me.
No,
Which
no.
that would actually be funny. I
Right.
mean, like if somebody really wanted to take the
Get the
role, the experience,
experience.
get the full experience as an actor, I would have. And now that I'm with all the whole. You know, like you know how these actors are taking it to the next level.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
What are they calling it?
Yeah, method
Method
acting.
acting. They're
Yeah.
yeah. They're like they're really taking it. So if somebody really was like, hey, I want to play a Marine. Go to boot camp for and like actually join. Like I wouldn't say like you don't have to go through and sign up,
Right. No
but
contract.
yeah, no contracts. But go and see if you can embed yourself with the platoon and you be treated like everybody for like you know
Yep.
you're no like again no name,
Yep.
no rank. You know, they don't even have you. Ain't even got the thing because they always like, no, you got to earn you got to earn that U.S. Marine. You got to earn that stuff. You're just a plain, you know.
Jeez.
So you go through the graduation ceremony
Yeah,
like
yeah,
everybody else, and
yeah.
just be like, you know, hey, now you're honorary Marine. Now, you know what I mean. You did the boot camp. You survived. You know.
Now you can play a Marine in the
Yeah,
movies.
now you can play a Marine in the movies. I think it would give them a way better experience. I think if they instead of just going for like I think what 2 weeks or 3 weeks. You just can't
All
get
they
it. You
do
can't.
is confidence
Yeah,
courses.
yeah. You can't do. I mean, you can't really grasp. You know that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't think. I think that's kind of ridiculous.
You know who I think did it best though?
Who?
Band of Brothers.
Oh yeah, Band of Brothers. Yeah,
Have
yeah.
you watched the background on how they did that?
No, I haven't watched that.
So there's this really amazing
Yeah,
documentary about Band of Brothers,
yeah,
and you know, I'm
yeah,
sorry, fanboy,
yeah,
absolutely love it.
yeah,
Watched it a million times,
uh-huh,
all the way through.
yeah,
Watch it every year, once the way
yeah.
through. And they had all of the officer actors
Mhm,
housed in one location.
mhm, mhm.
They had all of
Uh-huh.
the enlisted guys in another location.
Yeah.
The officers corralled the enlisted.
Mhm.
They did runs together. They did PT.
Yeah.
They did a lot of the different things, and they gave assignments to
Yeah.
the officers to
Ah,
go corral the
crowd.
other
Yeah,
guys.
that'd be
So,
cool.
like, you know, obviously not a full boot camp experience,
Yeah.
but like probably the most that
Uh-huh.
anybody's ever
Mm.
tried to get that mindset in.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I thought that was amazing.
You know who did the best deployment style is Generation Kill. Like I watch. Have you watched that
I
one?
haven't watched that one yet.
That one is like that was for me the Marine show that like was the closest to like how like deployment is and like obviously everything's kind of amplified for
Oh
television,
yeah. Oh yeah.
but you just got guys in the tent, you know what I mean? We're just, shirtless,
Yep.
walking
Yep.
around, talking, shooting the shit, playing cards. I mean, for us, we were playing. Me and my buddy who was sitting next to me. We we really got into Warcraft. And we were able to the link cable
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
with our laptops together,
Okay.
and we both got this version of Warcraft, and we were just able to like battle each other, armies send
Yeah, yeah,
armies
yeah.
to each other. It was really cool back then. It was just like things that kept us entertained. And then when I think about it, I'm like, we've come so far and since then, because I'm like, I was in back then. I had the like iPod, you know what I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
with the
Oh
tiny screen, and I'm
yeah. Oh
sitting
yeah.
there trying to watch movies on this thing.
Dude, seriously.
Yeah, or listening to all my music, and now it's like all in one device with with your cell phone, the movies, you can
Everything.
music,
Yeah.
everything's all in this one just little device. And so I was just like, man, like we've really come a lot, just so far in the last 24 years. So,
I remember in 2007 when the iPhone came out,
yeah.
I got it, and there was this way to do tethering,
Mm,
and I was in the Navy in '07,
yeah.
and so I took a plastic bag,
Mhm.
some fishing line,
Uh-huh.
my iPhone, and a cable, slung it out one of the holes in the side of the ship,
Yeah.
put it outside. I was able to get internet on the inside of the ship
Wow.
from my phone so I could play games
Mm.
on my computer
Wow.
while we were just, screwing around.
Dude, man, those iPhones, man, they were not built to last, though. I can't, like, I have, when I got back from Afghanistan in '08, I went and bought an iPhone, and it was a 3GS back
Yep,
then. And
yep.
then when I remember dropping it, shattered the screen completely.
Oh yeah.
Couldn't work. No,
Yeah.
there was no iPhone.
There's no button.
There was no
Nothing you could do.
button, and there was no iPhone repair places at the time. It was this very underground thing. I remember going to AT&T being like, "Hey, I'll drop this phone. I need a new. How do I do this?" And they were like, "You got to buy a brand new phone." And I was like, "Nah, not gonna happen." How do I? And then as I was walking out, the guy runs up behind me. He hands me a. He's like, "Don't tell anybody I sent you." And like literally, he's like, "Go to this place. Tell him I sent you." Blah blah. And I was like, "All right, cool." Go to this place. Show him the guy the card, and he's like, "Drop your phone. Come back in 2 hours." I'm like, "Am I going to get this phone back?" You know what I mean? Come back in 2 hours. Screen was brand new again.
Yeah.
But it was like very underground because you weren't supposed to be
Yeah.
messing with the screens. There were like, I guess, patent. Nobody wanted the technology because it was the very first smartphone essentially. You
Yeah.
know, so yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I was one of those guys who did iPhone screen repairs
Oh yeah.
back at the beginning,
Yeah.
before they got to the thumbprints.
Oh, the thumbprint stuff.
Before
Yeah.
they got to the thumbprint stuff, it was easier to do before then.
Mhm.
It got crazier once they started doing thumbprints.
Yeah.
And now with the eye stuff, forget it.
Yeah.
Not doing nothing.
Mhm.
But yeah, I replaced a couple of those. I did somebody's while I was actually in school
Mhm.
for the Army.
Mhm.
Somebody's screen broke while they were
Mhm.
doing it. I was like, order this, order that.
Yeah.
I have a full kit. I'll put it together for you.
Oh wow.
So I was able to do that stuff, but it's gotten so insane these days.
Yeah.
Now people are using they're either using like heating pads or like ovens because you've got to delaminate the screen from the phone. Insane.
Yeah, I ain't got time for all that.
No, I'm not playing that game.
Yeah, I'm like right now. I'm at the point now where I might go grab me a new phone after this because like I'm like I got a 12 and like literally my phone won't last. The battery won't even last. Like if I'm like say I make like 4 or 5 long calls in the morning, it's dead by 2 almost. And I'm like, there's no way this phone is dying this fast. It's only like a 3-year-old phone, but
that's crazy.
Apple, if you see this, stop updating my stuff and messing with it. Stop tampering with my products.
That's awesome. So
yeah, Generation Kill.
Generation Kill.
Jarhead.
Jarhead.
Full Metal Jacket. But I think my favorite wartime movie is Saving Private Ryan. I think that's probably one up there for everybody.
That one's really good.
Yeah.
That one is really good for sure. I mean, it's hard to screw with Tom Hanks.
It's hard to screw with him. Yeah, exactly.
Come on. That guy's awesome. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of any other movies that kind of like war movies that came out within the last 20 years that I'm like, you know what? 1917 was good. The whole one take, you know what I mean? I enjoyed that one. I mean, like, I don't watch it on like repeat. Like, it's not like Saving Private Ryan where, it's just like, I love that movie, but,
Did you see The Pacific?
Oh, you know what? I don't think I saw The Pacific.
I haven't seen The Pacific yet, but I read the book that it was based off of. Really great author. Tells the story of basically the Marines going over to Japan and doing the whole invasion and insane stories, bro.
I try to think about that stuff right now, and I'm like, I walk on the beach right now, like with and I'm like, man, I'm like tired walking on the beach. Imagine running through all this stuff, like in gear.
It's not even like beach. These guys were storming coral beaches.
Yeah.
So they were messing everything up.
Yeah.
It's like if you're on the ship, right?
Yeah.
Like it's going down on non-skid.
Yeah.
But the whole beach is non-skid.
Yeah.
And so, and you know, and they're diving, they're trying to duck, they're trying to, you
Yeah,
know,
but
bob and
Bob,
weave and
yeah.
everything. No way, no way. Those
I
guys.
would have been the first person dead. How about that? I would have been
I
out.
mean, yeah,
Yeah, I would have been. I already know because I'm like, I already see myself when I'm. I mean, this is me now though.
yeah,
We're
yeah,
running
yeah.
on.
Nah.
You know what I mean? Now I'd be like,
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead and get it over with, guys. You know what I mean?
For sure, for sure. Yeah. So now that you're working in film and everything, have you done anything with any veteran movies or anything like that? I feel
No,
like you talked about a documentary once.
there was. I had some documentaries in the works, but nothing really took off. But I did have I have been like kind of just writing my own just
Yeah.
you know because I've always had this dream about making a movie about my platoon
Okay.
in 2-7 in Afghanistan. And so I have this idea of a film right now that will take kind of our worst day we've had, combine basically take our worst day that we ever had, and then combine it with a few other crazy days that we had, and just make this one, one like day type of mission, and just call it like Combat Train, which is was our call sign.
Okay.
And so that's kind of been the idea. But again, those are the movies that like I need $50 million. I mean, 20 million. This ain't no indie movie that I'm just going to be like, hey, no. Like the indie movie would be about the guy coming and getting out of the service and like trying to readjust to life, which I have a ton of those ideas written up, because I think that's the hardest thing for we see a lot of vets come back and they deal with internal battles and things like that, and a lot of people just don't know why. But I think I have a pretty good idea why a lot of vets struggle. You know what I mean? When they get out.
Share with us.
I mean, I'm not want to talk for everybody, but I mean, like at least from my point of view, is that I mean, if you think about it, like we were in combat. I mean, we were leading men in battle. You know what I mean? We were in doing something. I guess that was important to somebody. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And then when you kind of come back, you have a few people who greet you. The people at the airport. Like, hey, welcome back. Glad you guys made it. You get those folks. It feels good. Family members. Everybody feels good. But to the rest of the world, I mean, to everybody, the everyday life, when you're back, you have somebody same age as you who it has, I mean, I guess, fucked off, a lot. They don't have an appreciation, you know what I mean?
Right.
Take a lot of stuff for granted, you know what I mean? That's what I see.
Their biggest sacrifice is waking up at 7 a.m.
Yeah, their biggest sacrifice is waking up at 7 a.m. or like, oh, my latte is cold, or you forgot my soy, and it's shit like that where I'm like, I try to, I dust a lot of stuff off, I'm like, if somebody's like, forget, I'm like, hey, we all have bad days, I get it, what I mean? I'm not gonna cry like somebody, that you see these, these, I'm gonna say it, the Karens, you see everybody online, you know what I mean? You see they get caught. I mean, that's their worst moments. You're catching them at, you know what I mean? We all have those type of moments. But I think with veterans is that when you're thrown back to that and you see all of that and you're like, what are you whining about? Like, you know what I mean? You see people at like when you go to Iraq and Afghanistan, you see how people are living over there, and you're like, man, it makes you put a lot of stuff when you come back to America in perspective. You're like, these people in Afghanistan are living in caves and mud huts. The house is literally made out of mud. You know what I mean? They have zero electricity, nothing. You know what I mean? And then you come here and, and we have all these luxuries. And then, you get people just complaining about the littlest things. It's like, man, you don't know how grateful you are. People are willing to kill you, for this, you know what I mean? That's the same thing, with the whole, crossing the border. People like, are willing to sacrifice so much to get to us, just to have a little slice of discomfort, But, I think going back to veterans, I think it just it gets you depressed a little bit. I think what it is, it's like, imagine doing all of that
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like top level, like you know, especially when you hit NCO, sergeant, staff sergeant, you're
Responsible for people.
responsible for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Then getting out, and then you got somebody the same age who's like talking shit to you. They're like, and they're like boss or whatever, and you're just like, or somebody younger than you
Oh yeah.
talking
Oh
shit
yeah.
to you, and you're just like, I can out snatch the soul out of your body. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like what and it's this, and I think, I mean, for me, it's been a very just, oh my God, it's been a learning curve. And because I mean, like, especially in the film industry, you're dealing with so many egos.
Yeah.
And man, I've yelled at people. I have to catch myself and like apologize and be like, man, shit, I'm sorry, guys. Like, I don't mean to snap at you, but I mean, like, shit, I got PTSD. Sorry, you know what I mean? I mean, like,
It's a thing.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
a thing.
I got PTSD. Sorry, I mean, but I do catch myself and apologize if I do, and I've caught myself multiple times. I mean, on the movie we just did, I mean, like I had a few run-ins with the producer, and I just and I call him back and be like, hey, sorry, I didn't mean to get heated, blah blah blah. But people just don't realize that when vets or just people go and are willing to sacrifice it all for something and then come back, and then you get people telling you you don't deserve something or telling you that you're like you're not ready. I'm like, huh? Like, I literally like went to war because I believed in being a filmmaker so much. Like, I was like, yeah, I fucked off in high school, but I was like, well, shit, I'm willing to put my life on the line to
Right.
go to film school. I knew what I was getting into,
Yeah.
but I did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then so when I come back and I got somebody who their biggest sacrifice, like you said, is waking up at 7 a.m. or sacrificing their soy milk or whatever, their
Right.
coffee, and they're telling me that I don't deserve to be in the same space or room as you or whatever. I'm like, you must be out of your mind. You know what I mean? I was like, I don't know what sacrifice is if that's not it. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Willing to literally, like, because it wasn't like I could have died over there. I mean,
Oh yeah.
they tried. There was definitely a lot of close
Right.
calls I had.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it wasn't like, oh, it was just like like we're all on a vacation over there. No, it was
Yeah.
like it was
Yeah.
like
Let me go take a vacation in the Dust
oh
Bowl.
yeah, the Dust
Yeah.
Bowl, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Totally.
and I think that's kind of like the thinking is just that like you go through all of that, like you're watching people get blown up, you're watching IEDs go off, your bullets are flying over your head, you're doing all this stuff is happening around you. You come back, and then you're trying to get a job or you're trying to do this, and people are saying you're not qualified, you're not this, you're not that, and
Mhm.
you're like, what do you call that stuff over there that we just did? Like, or it just doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? The
Yep.
way, I feel like vets should be like kind of some, obviously I know there's some crazy vets out there. Don't get me wrong, there's some crazy ass motherfuckers out there. I know who you are. You
Oh
know what I
yeah.
mean?
Oh yeah.
But there are some very stable, just people who are just trying to get through life and trying to live their life. That's not, the military is just not their identity, their full identity. You know what
Right.
I mean? You
Right.
know what I mean? They do have another life outside of that. And when you're trying to make that life, and you got these people who are standing in your way saying you don't deserve something or you don't have, and I think that a lot of people, they just like they lose hope, and
Yeah.
they end up because I mean, like, it doesn't make any sense. I like literally have lost a couple of guys over the last summer, and I talked to you about this, where full families.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on in your life that made you take your life? You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? Like, it has to be something that's outside of like somebody's not understanding you as a person.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. It's just like the world doesn't understand what veterans are going through and what they truly sacrificed, and a lot of it is their mental. We sacrificed a lot of our mental capacity. I
Yeah.
mean, like, everybody has fun watching it in the movies, but dude, imagine living in it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're like there, and then like, and I think the biggest thing right now is the whole thing in Palestine and the whole thing in Gaza, all that.
Mhm.
That whole thing is really waking people up and being like, because I guarantee you, if social media was a bigger thing back when we were in Iraq and Afghanistan in the early 2000s,
Oh yeah.
there would be the same uproar. Because I mean, like, it's I'm looking over there and I'm like, man, this looks just like what Ramadi in Iraq looked like when I got there. I was like,
Yeah.
buildings, everything's in chaos. I'm like, this is
This is war,
This
people.
is war. Exactly.
Yeah.
This is war.
This is war.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean.
So, kind of tying into what you were just talking about,
Yeah.
one of the things that we see is this perception from a
Mhm.
lot of people
Yeah.
that you have two types of veterans.
Yeah.
You've got the heroes,
Hmm.
and then you got those who come home broken.
Yeah.
And I have been doing this show for a couple of episodes
Hmm.
now, right? I
Hmm.
keep talking about it, and it's like really depressing. If I'm
Hmm.
really honest, like I'm
Hmm.
thinking about it, and it's like, man, this is so depressing. Like,
Hmm.
not everybody came back that way, and you know, personally, I reserve the word hero
Hmm.
for people who gave all.
Yeah.
So, like, if you are someone I can talk to still, you probably don't qualify as hero.
Yeah.
Um, so there's not a lot of those that are walking amongst us,
Yeah.
right? Obviously,
Yeah.
you know, Medal of Honor winners. There's people. There
Yeah.
are people. There
Yeah.
are some people.
Yes.
But generally speaking, hero is someone who gave the ultimate sacrifice.
Or was willing to, but ended up surviving. You know what I mean? Like
Correct.
they
Exactly.
do. You know how many people jumped on grenades and then I'm just like, some survived, some didn't. I'm like,
There you go.
that's a sacrifice. Like if you know you ain't coming back, but you end up surviving that,
Yeah.
man, that's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
So that's right. Category one
Yeah.
is the hero,
Yeah.
and then you got the broken guys,
Hmm.
right? But I know that there's an in between.
Hmm.
I know that there's an in between.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I kind of look to you and I like
Hmm.
talking to you because I feel like you're a veteran who's chosen to be successful.
Hmm.
I don't know if you know, chose to be successful, but you're following a path that is successful. And
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you, like, what is something that I think sets you apart from our other brothers who are, you know, struggling more?
A little bit of is that I kind of had a clear goal also
Yeah.
going into the Marine
Yeah.
Corps that I knew I wanted to do something, but also you know I had conversations with people that I was deployed with, being like, "Oh, what are you going to do with your GI Bill? What are you going to do?" And they would tell me, "Oh, I want to be a doctor, sports medicine doctor. I want to do this. I want to do that." I'm like, "Okay, get out." None of them do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so a lot of my driving force is that a lot of our brothers did not make it back, you know, from overseas. And a lot of them had the dreams of being, you know, doctors, whatever, GI Bill, whatever they joined for.
Yeah.
And so a lot of my driving force is that I'm the reason why I try so hard and try to, you know, make movies and be in this industry, fight for it still, is that I owe it to those guys. You know what I mean? The people who sacrificed, who did pay the ultimate sacrifice while they were over there, because they are not being able to live that dream. So
Yeah.
it's like, for me, I come back. It's basically showing people, like, it's basically, you know, I'm telling myself that, like, I made it back. Why was I sacrificed? Because I
Why was
mean,
I
like I said,
special?
yeah, it wasn't. I'm not special than that guy. It's just like luck of the draw. Like I mean, like the IED didn't go off. Like you know, it went off the truck behind me. You know what I mean? Like you know, it's just stuff like that. It's just like you're you're just like you start to question and be like, is there a God? Is there not a God? You know what I mean? And so I feel like I owe it to all the brethren who, you know, out there who sacrificed their life um, for, you know, obviously for freedom, but also for their dreams and stuff like that. So that's what keeps me motivated to keep, you know, because there's been times like, you know what I mean? Like I've always, like, I've been, sometimes I'm in this industry and I'm just like, and I'm dealing with people and I'm like, man, I do not need all this right
Yeah.
now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just like I take my disability and go retire somewhere in in Thailand or something like that, and
Right.
just live the
Right.
rest of my days chill. You know what I mean? But it's like that's not what the Marine Corps is running away from stuff. It's just like face it head on. You know what I mean?
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So what would you say to a veteran who's getting out, right? A service member who's getting out and they're about to start this big transition.
Man,
What's your best advice for them to be successful?
to be successful is to stay busy.
Yeah.
Do not let the demons rest. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
as soon as you take a night off, I mean, and we've all been there, all veterans have taken a night off, and you hear the whole knocking at the door. You know what I mean? What do so and you and I've talked to my therapist about this at the VA, where because I keep, again, I was like, we all went on that same deployment. I see all of my brother. I'm like, why did he commit suicide? And then I'm telling her, I'm like, is this my destiny? Am I gonna end up offing
It
myself?
doesn't
Yeah,
have to be that way.
that's what I mean. Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be that way. But
No.
when you keep seeing your brother, everybody's dropping around you like flies. You're like sitting here like, am I next? You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I try to tell these. I'm like, just stay busy. You
Yeah.
stay busy.
Yeah.
You know, now don't do mindless busy stuff. Like, do something that you actually want to do and try to actually strive to go do it. You know,
Yeah.
because I mean, no, do not go for a bottle of whiskey. I mean, I had a guy when we got back from Afghanistan. We were about to go on leave. He literally drank himself to death. Drank himself. We just got back. We only been back for a couple of months, and
Wow.
then yeah. Anyway, he just he and then we got a call over leave where he basically had passed out I wouldn't say he passed out. He had died in a tattoo parlor in Fallbrook, right outside of Camp Pendleton, because he drank so much. Like literally, we got back from deployment, 8 a.m. We're all in morning formation. He was part of like an attachment unit, so he didn't have to follow. He had other people, but in the morning, he's all cheersing us from the balcony. He's in the barracks drinking at 8 a.m. I'm like,
Wow.
but I mean, that's what I'm saying. This stuff affects people differently. You know what I mean? And so I would just tell people, just like, if I was getting out, take advantage of the GI Bill. Go out there, use it. Like, you risked it all, you use it.
Yeah.
And then house loan, use it. You know what I mean? Start some income, even if you're in.
Yeah.
Use it. I wish I would have known half this stuff that I know now when I was in. I could have been millionaire right now, because I could have, like, and that's the thing. There's nobody out really teaching you financial management, these classes, these things, these life things that I feel like should be taught to you, like, right when you're getting out.
Before you get out, though.
Before you get out,
Because if it's a hurdle to getting out,
yeah,
everybody will skip over it.
mm-hmm.
I can tell you, when they do the medical checks at the end of your enlistment,
yeah,
those should be done like all year long. They
yeah,
shouldn't be done at the end, because I totally passed up things
yeah,
because I was just trying to get clear.
yeah.
I was just trying to get out. When
Yeah.
I got out of the Navy, I was like, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done.
I'm
I'm
done.
out. Mm-hmm.
Do you have any problems? No, I don't have any problems. I'm perfectly fine. I'm
Yeah.
done.
And then when you get out, you're like, I shouldn't have fucked around, and actually I should have
I had a
did my
hernia.
medical.
I had
Yeah.
a hernia.
Huh?
I didn't even know it, because hernias don't always actually hurt,
Yeah.
right? Like, sometimes it's just a weird thing that
Yeah.
happens. I had surgery for a hernia
Mm-hmm.
3 months after I got out, and
Yeah.
I had gotten it on the ship during
Yeah.
deployment.
Mm-hmm.
Should have totally been service connected.
Yeah.
My parents were very kind to me. Paid $6,000 for
Yeah.
my surgery. Oh man.
Yeah.
But it should have been totally covered by the VA.
Yeah. Should have. Yeah.
But I was trying to get out.
Get out. That's what they want. They want people to be like, get out of here. Get just go, rush out of here. But no.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing for me, for vets getting out. Use the GI Bill. Use everything that the government, that you earn with the government. Like, it's like I said, because there are people out there, vets, homeless vets too, who are fighting to get their stuff right now.
Yeah.
And I think you owe it to your brothers who lost, to just strive to go fight for your dreams. You know what I mean?
So, and to live your life.
And to live your life, yeah. And to live your life
and don't waste it.
Don't waste it, exactly. And that's the biggest thing. It's like, you made it back,
yep,
alive. You know what I mean? To
yep.
come back here and, I mean, I know we're battling demons, but I mean, like,
but don't be a jerk.
Yeah. Don't be a jerk. Don't be a jerk. If you need help, ask for help. We're here. We're brothers. I know we're men. I know they in the Marine Corps, they always say, we don't cry, but it's okay. It's all right. We're here.
And we talk. We
talk. We talk. Yeah.
That's all good. Right on. Do you have any charities or anything like that that you like, that you can recommend for people?
I mean, I donate to Wounded Warriors,
Okay.
that I mean, I like, for tax
Thank
season,
you.
What
Thank you. I'm a Wounded Warrior.
yeah. So I donate
like
to that. Yeah. If there was other organizations that if they're. I mean, I know there's veterans in film, but I don't know if they're
They're pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, you know about that
I've worked
veterans
with
of Hollywood or
veterans
whatever.
in media and
Yeah. Hmm.
I can't remember the acronym, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm signed up with them.
Okay.
They're a cool organization.
Yeah.
They do really great. I'm gonna put the link for what that is
Yeah.
because if anybody here is interested in film,
Hmm.
this is a great veteran organization to be a part of.
Yeah.
They do regular training.
Hmm.
They have people who come in and they'll talk to you. So people who are in the system
Yeah.
talk about how they got in.
Yeah.
Some really cool people. I remember I was on one and we had one of the hosts from the Daily Show.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
She'd been serving
Yeah.
and she was on and like that was super cool. She
Yeah.
talked about getting in and working with Jon Stewart and
Oh,
like
cool. Yeah. Yeah.
really awesome experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, really good. Love those guys.
Yeah. Hmm.
And then have you heard of Sets for Vets?
I haven't seen. I heard of that one.
So I got recommended to me Sets for Vets.
Hmm.
So Sets for Vets would be like a PA thing, right? So
Mm.
basically, it's a resource to get veterans into PA roles
Hmm.
on on uh, on movie sets,
Yeah.
right? Film sets.
Yeah.
And so, kind of a cool organization. We always plug all these different for vets programs. So
Yeah.
like guitars for vets, treks for vets,
Yeah.
hiking stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like there's all sorts of different things.
Mhm.
Horses help, which is like a if you like to ride horses,
Oh,
there's a
cool.
cool thing where you can go out and ride horses for
Yeah.
free. Like super cool opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's coming up next for you?
We've got a couple commercials producing. Um, right now we're in the process of making our first feature film that we currently submitted to Sundance, the producers lab. And so we made it to the second round of selection for that. So now we're just waiting to hear back. We submitted all the materials, so now we're just waiting to hear back to see if we've made it. If we make it, if that goes through, then I'll be going. Sundance will be helping us produce this feature film.
That's
So
pretty cool.
yeah, but other than that, locally it's just all commercial work. You know,
Yeah.
to keep keeping food on the table type
There
of
you
stuff.
go.
You know.
There you go. Well, do you want to share your social media with people if they want to reach out to
Oh
you?
yeah,
Or
yeah. You can reach me at Parco Rich, is my personal, and then Save the Airwaves is my production company. You can reach out to me there.
I love that name. I saw that the first time and I was like, oh, that's such a great title.
Yeah.
Like Save the Airwaves. Super
Yeah.
cool.
Well, thank you.
All right. Well, thanks, Parco, for coming on today.
Thanks for having me. I
We
appreciate it.
you, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this episode. Really hope you enjoyed it. We had a great time talking to Parco and learning more about, what he's doing with his movies. Really cool to see a veteran who's being successful in their field and, just really great attitude. So thanks so much for coming to the show, Parco. Really appreciate it. Stay tuned if you want to see more content like this. We have lots of people that we've lined up to come out and talk to us. We're really excited, lots of different opportunities, and we're trying to find all the different resources to help out our veterans, right? Want to make sure you guys have the resources that you need. Um, you know, I'm a veteran and I'm passionate about this work, and I just want to make sure that like nobody's out there going through something and they don't know about the resources that are available to them. So we're going to keep highlighting everything that we can. All right, stay tuned, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe. Take care.